Take a look at this baguette, how wonderfully crispy the surface is. It's super crunchy. It looks great on the inside, as you can see. It's nicely filled. It's an absolutely delicious treat for grilling. I can only recommend it to you. So it's really well baked through. A fine, tasty affair. Welcome to our channel. Today we're making this summer baguette, a specialty. For our delightful summer pepperoni, I'll start again with a fresh perspective and a renewed approach. Salt and yeast are essential ingredients. Green and yellow. And yes, the oil actually goes in there too. So tomorrow's weather. For our summer baguette, we need wheat flour, in this case 550. We need water, pepperoni, chopped nuts, salt, yeast, paprika, spring onion, a bit of olive oil, and a little bit of butter to brush on during the dough preparation. I've also put together a little selection for you here of the add-ins you can use. And here it repeats: pepperoni, paprika, spring onion, and dried tomatoes. A great tip, very tasty, but always use with caution because they're quite spicy. And of course, the nuts, they're always a good choice. Preparing the dough couldn't be easier. Here we have a no-knead dough. That means I'm now adding my flour to my larger bowl here. By the way, I've already added the salt to the flour. Then I crumble the yeast over it as finely as possible. And now I take the oil and pour it into the water. I do this for a reason. This dough needs a little oil. If I now start to briefly stir it with a wooden spoon end, that's really all there is to no-knead dough. I won't be able to incorporate the oil nicely. But if I emulsify it a bit with the water, even though it might be a bit noisy, it distributes very well. And if I'm quick, I can get it evenly mixed into my dough. And now I take my spoon end. That's pretty much it already, and stir the whole thing for about a minute. That's all there is to it. And I hope you can see it well from the overhead camera. Just mix the flour well with the water. That's what we call it. So use a bit of force. But as you can see, it's not much. I need to hold it like this. Whoops. Then you can also see it from the front camera. So that took about a minute, and that's all there is to it. Now, the dough will rest at room temperature for 8 hours. And if you want to an overnight proof, then it should be 10 to 12 hours in the fridge. And it will ferment quite well there. This is what the dough looks like now. This is the result after 1 minute. As I said, we're going to let it rest at room temperature for about 8 hours. Of course, we've prepared something in advance so I can keep filming the video. And it's quite nice to show. This is what the dough looks like freshly made. And this is what it looks like after 8 hours. And that way you can see what it turns into. And you can see this incredible open crumb. All of this is just with 5 grams of yeast. This is going to be a really, really great baguette. You can trust me on that. Because there's so much flavor and aroma in here. And the smell in the room right now is just incredible. I'm already looking forward to making it in a moment. So next step, preparing and handling the dough. I'm now taking the dough out of the bowl and flouring my work surface quite well. Of course, it's very soft. It has to be. That's exactly right. But I'm going to work it a bit more in a moment, and then it will become firmer and develop a better structure. So as you can see, you can get it out quite well. That's exactly how it's supposed to be. Here too, I need a lot of flour. I shape it into a little cushion. And already, just by these movements, it becomes firmer. You can handle it very well, as you can see. I'm not going to divide it now. Instead, I'll work with it as is. I almost made a mistake just now. I'll gladly admit that, because I'm actually going to make 2 pieces out of it, 2 baguettes, but I'll do that later. As you can see, and I really want to show you this, you can see the bubbles here. It's turning out so well. This will also result in a beautiful open crumb bread later. That's exactly what we're aiming for. Now, I'm just going to let it rest here for another 15 minutes. It means that it has to relax, because I'm going to stretch it out a bit lengthwise and widthwise. and then use the rolling pin to roll it out a little. And that only works if it can relax now. It has a structure now. It has tension. Now it needs to relax again. And then I can work with it perfectly. We'll continue here in a quarter of an hour. So see you in a bit. I've now let the dough rest for 15 minutes. You can see it's risen a bit again, spreading out a little, and that's a sign that it's really relaxed. And now I'm going to roll it out. Of course, I need plenty of flour for that. You'll need it too, because the dough is soft, don't forget that. I'm going to roll it out to a size, let's say, a rectangle of about 40 by 20 maybe. By the way, when it's rolling out, it's very helpful to roll diagonally. Once this way, once that way. And if you listen closely, you can already hear how it pushes out the air, because the dough is really, really good. There we go. It doesn't need to be much more than that. A bit more flour on top. Lift it up. There we go. Pull it to the flour. Now I'm giving it its final size, because when we roll it up and process it further in a moment, it'll get a bit bigger anyway. Now I take the butter I mentioned earlier and spread a bit of it on top here. I've heated up the butter. It's not hot now, just warm, because that makes it easier to spread. And I also spread a bit of this butter on the dough. I simply do this because butter is delicious and it just goes perfectly with this. Later, I want to seal the dough down here at the bottom. You can see it always tends to come back together a bit, but that's okay. That's actually good. Now, down here, I'm already sealing it so that it sticks together well. I'll start with the nuts, or rather the nut mix. By the way, about this nut mix, I lightly roasted them and added just a tiny bit of butter at the end. That way, they brown a little more. But that's really just for a brief moment. It gives the whole thing a wonderful flavor. Then I take my peppers. I also lightly sautéed them in olive oil. That enhances the flavor a bit, but also slightly reduces the spiciness. So you actually end up with something nice, making it suitable for children too. So they don't say, oh, that's way too spicy or something like that. Finally, I add my mix of bell peppers and spring onions. I spread those on top as well. And as I think I mentioned at the beginning, it's always about 15 grams. You shouldn't use more than that of each type. That way, the whole thing doesn't get overloaded or overwhelmed. Now, this is very important. Dust your hands a bit with flour so you can stretch the dough out long and press it here into this butter edge. And now roll it up tightly and firmly. So keep pulling and rolling a bit at a time so that you end up with a dough roll that's easy to handle. Don't let it get too floppy, because you won't be able to handle it later if you do. That's not good. There we go. But that looks pretty good. That's turning out just the way it should. There we go. Tuck the ends in a little bit. Now I'm pulling it to where I want it to be. There we go. As you can see, it's become a pretty even roll and you can handle it really well. Now I'm going to remove a bit of the flour so the table will give me some grip. Otherwise it just keeps slipping on the flour. I don't want that. And now I'm just going to roll the whole thing out a bit longer. It's really easy to do with this dough, right? If it resists a bit, just press down. It can handle that too. And as you can see, my roll is getting really long. That's exactly what I want, because right now I'm going to cut it in the middle, about here. There we go. Seal the ends right away. Just pull out a bit of dough and press it in like this, and do the same thing here. I hope you can see it. Just fold it over like this and press it in. I'll shape the ends to a bit of a point in a moment. I'll set this aside for now. Now I'll brush off a bit of the flour and roll this out to about the length of a baking sheet. I need to remove more flour here. You can tell it slips away. That's not good. You really need to keep that important consideration in mind, especially when you are working at home. Don't make it too smooth, otherwise you won't be able to effectively work on it and achieve your desired results. There we go. I'll stretch the whole thing out, set it aside for a moment so it can relax again. Now I'll take my second roll. There isn't as much flour underneath this one anymore. This one is going much better, as you can see. There we go. I'll stretch this one out a bit too. Now I'll take my baking tray. I hope you can still see it like this. It's important now to make a line of flour, because I want to roll my baguette in this line of flour in a moment. But first, stretch and roll it out a bit more. There we go. Again, here as well. There we go. It's working. Now I roll this in the flour, and now I start twisting it against itself. That's important. That will give it a nice crust later. That way, you'll have lots of edges where a crust can form and the dough can rise. And now I just place it asymmetrically on the tray, roughly like this. That's how it should be, because the straight baguette, well, you can do that. This is a bit nicer. The trick is, I can just break off a piece later. It's wonderful when you're grilling. Just break off a piece beforehand and have it with meat, salad, or whatever you like. It always works. I'll do the same thing here again now. There we go. Now I gently stretch it out again, then carefully roll it in my flour. Don't be shy at all. You can certainly handle it, and then slowly twist it against itself. Don't twist it too tightly, or it'll snap. That would be a shame, of course. We'll also lay this one down a bit asymmetrically. I'll twist the ends again and press it a bit. Well, it's putting up a fight. I'll press it a bit differently. It can look a bit wild. That's fine. It's supposed to look wild too. This one here also gets reshaped a bit. There we go. Maybe this way works better for me. Well, but now it's good. That's what the two look like. These dough rolls, or these two dough pieces, don't need any extra proofing now. There's already plenty of proofing in them. Now they go into the oven at 230 degrees with lots of steam. That's what we'll do now, and then we'll see what comes of it. Summer baguettes have now been in the oven for 25 minutes. They're baked through. They're crispy, just as they should be. They smell absolutely wonderful, and you can trust me when I say they taste great. I hope you enjoyed our video again. I wish you lots of fun baking them yourself. I can only recommend them for grilling. It's really something special. As always, you'll find the recipe for this baguette below our video description. I wish you all the best and say, see you soon on our channel.